What is going on, everybody? Monday Night Football, Week 15. Pretty big game. Steelers and Dolphins. Dolphins trying to keep their hopes alive. Steelers, of course, also trying to do the same thing, currently leading the North. But obviously, those things can change very quickly. And this is going to be a good one, boys. I think we're actually in for a very fun one. So let's get to it. Give me 1 second quickly to get the promo out for the boys. And we're going to get started here. Obviously, an hour till game time. Same deal as always as we go. So, hold on. Not that many boosts out today. So I saw FanDuel, we have a parlay profit boost SGP, DK. So I don't know about you guys, but I got the option for what I want to do with my boost, similar to like we had yesterday. I went with just a 20% boost on a straight. I had a $5 max anyway. Probably could have been more EV to go with the parlay boost, but I went with the straight boost. So regardless, we'll be utilizing that and finding the best bets that we can. So I bet the under here. What is going on, Biz? Thanks for being here, brother. I took the under, but it looks like the market is definitely I shouldn't say it looks like, it clearly has kind of flipped a bit. Now, Circa Penny is staying at this 110. Circa's at 110 each way. Penny's actually plus 101 to the under, and Bookmaker's at minus 104 to the under. So clearly some resistance, especially as this was 41.5 a little bit earlier in the week. There's also been news of players with illnesses on both sides and things like that. And I'm kind of shocked that the over is the preferred side of the market today. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna personally be, hedging out or trying to like just lose the juice on this and take a 110 on the over and just be done with them. I'm just gonna ride personally. Though obviously when the market's on the other side, never ideal, but we shall see what goes down. So a couple of things I want to call out too before we lock some stuff in. I'm going to look at the EV screen and find something we love. We'll lock it in right now. But something I do want to say is the Dolphins in the cold weather. This has been basically the biggest talking point for anything Miami, and everybody's talking about how Tua, they can't win when it's in the cold. They have so many issues. But something I want to shout out that Cleve TA mentioned is that the teams that Miami has played in the cold over the last couple of years with Tua, these have all been like really great teams. They're playing the Packers, they're playing the Bills, they're playing some defenses that were actually like really great. And yes, you can make, I guess, like the obvious point of just like, oh, Miami stinks in the cold, makes sense. Cold weather, warm weather team going to the cold, 1 + 1 = 2. But you also always have to take in like context and opponents here. And like the real issue that Miami was facing is that they were just playing some good teams. Now, the Steelers, if you think they're a good team, I guess that is your opinion. I personally am of the belief that they're not a good football team. So I think this one could be interesting. I went with the under because I think Pittsburgh can actually run the ball. I mean, Miami's going to want to run the ball. But that's kind of just where my head's at in my quick spiel on the game. And AEC, what's up, brother? How do you feel about taking Achane alt for rush yards? If not, maybe straight in a lay. Let's look at the market right now. So I just scrolled through the EV screen and, really nothing that we're seeing that's worthwhile here. I've actually seen this Jalen Wright for a little bit now. But I know I saw he popped up with an illness. It looks like the market's pretty not like split. We have some books like Hard Rock and Rivers all the way as low as 3-1, 4-1, where we have now Novig and FanDuel up in the plus 650 range. And Johnny Smith receiving yards and Malik Washington first quarter receiving yards. Right, we'll dive into all of these. So first run through of the EV screen, nothing that I think is really necessarily worth betting. I saw that Thielen under, but still at like 3%. So not like anything massive there. But let's see what we have here from a game line perspective. Some of these have to be bugged because there's no way that plus 285, or maybe not. Oh, yes, actually Profit X right there, 378. So that 28% EV does not exist. Alternate over showing value and alternate on Pittsburgh's as well. But again, how high these are and how redundant they are, that's definitely based on an error there, unfortunately. So let's keep seeing other game lines. Miami +3, best price here, bet openly, 20K. Bet openly, great platform, peer-to-peer, if you guys aren't familiar. But if you're interested in Miami, getting +116 based on the market. If you're a Miami guy, I know you missed the hook, but you definitely missed the hook at this point because that 3.5 has been gone for about a day or so now. But that actually looks good if you want Miami. Let's go back to where we were here. Miami third quarter, don't really touch any of those. Miami alternate spread at Hard Rock. And also gun to head, I actually do like Miami. I think that Pittsburgh's a bit overrated. I know that we're going to get a lot of turnovers probably with the Mike Tomlin voodoo, but I think Miami's like relatively real in a sense. Like I obviously don't think they're going to make any noise if they do squeak their way into the playoffs, but I think that we've seen enough of the Rodgers and Tomlin administration for that 1 year they're together. But so I'm just some of these props. So start with Achan rush yards. Um, Service wise, I love it. I mean, I just know that he's obviously coming off a bit of a rib injury, so never want to think this way, but like one hit, and you know that HN might not be returning to the game, which would obviously be less than ideal based on market here. So circa at 110, Penny as well, and Bookmaker, all three. FanDuel, this has to be, I'm assuming, an alt line if it's a one-way market. So maybe their baseline's a bit lower or not. So I guess they're just putting heavy juice on the 112. And we're already getting up to, you know, very high numbers, 59.5. This MGM is definitely the best in market, 115, but it's only 1 yard fewer than Circa. So from like a game theory perspective, I definitely like HN on the ground. Miami's run game has been sick. He obviously is a dog, but from the market right now, tough to make a bet here, but we're going to be utilizing the boost we have on FanDuel, first touchdowns and the DK boost. Jonnu Smith, let's look at Jonnu. Jonnu has not been seeing a ton of playing time lately, but I know Miami's defense does struggle a bit against tight ends, so there is definitely an opportunity for Jonnu there. Let's see. Jonnu Smith, receiving yards. How low are we talking? Oh, we're down in the 10.5 range. We're in the one catch, gets him over range. I think this is actually a great time, though, to switch over to FTN and just kind of see how little he has been touching the rock, because they have, you know, Fryermuth, of course, versus Pitt. They have Fryermuth. They have Darnell Washington, who's obviously a beast and has been doing really well. But let's take a look at this right here. So let's just look at the last couple of weeks to get a picture of like generally what's been going on with the routes run for Jonnu, because this number is so low where like I'm already intrigued, because this is a one catch. It's a big body guy, like one catch, break one tackle. He's getting 10 yards. So last 3 weeks from a snap percentage, of course, DK and Darnell, Rodgers even, but he was hurt, that doesn't check out, but Jonnu, 49% of the snaps. So he is number 2 in terms of or number 3 in terms of outside players, number 4 in terms of total weapons. Though, of course, Warren doesn't impact that. We know the Steelers love playing multiple tight ends at the same time, but gotta look at routes run. Muth running 58% of the routes here, Jonnu running 53. So, and Washington. So all three of them really are just kind of put into a mix here. But let's look at actually end zone, because I know that they're running so many different tight end looks overall. DK getting those fade balls overall. Kenneth Gainwell out of the backfield. Muth and Jonnu both getting some love. I'm actually just curious. Let's look at full season where their end zone targets have gone. I would assume DK at 1, big time. Austin, Muth, Darnell, Kenny G. Jonnu only 2 end zone targets all year. That's a bit interesting for me, honestly. And Malik Washington. Let's see, first quarter rec yards. Let's pull up this market here. Very interesting what it looks like. Malik Washington. So just 1.5. So you're looking for Malik Washington to secure a catch. Obviously could lose yards, but unlikely. You know, he actually is a guy who gets the ball around the line of scrimmage, though. So gotta hope the Steelers aren't all over him. But we know that Pittsburgh, let's go back to FTN quickly. Their A dots are just so damn low. I mean, Roman Wilson's not playing. He's inactive. If you guys missed that news. Calvin Austin, a bit of a deep guy. We know DK can be. Look at all the rest of the average depth of target for these guys. I mean, it's just so close to the line of scrimmage. And let's look at Miami for comparison's sake. Let's just add them on into this and not even separate them. Average depth of target for everybody. I mean, got D. Eskridge. I don't even know who Taj Washington is, but Reek, of course, hurt. Waddle on A.13. Waller's already getting 11.7. But then we got, again, where is Malik Washington, 4.4. So you know he's going to be getting those quick passes. So I have no beef with the Malik Washington first quarter receiving yards. So you just got to really hope that he's getting that one. It's going to be close to the line of scrimmage and that he is getting over there. Getting a text question about the stream. On a peer-to-peer site, if someone's putting 20K at one end, does the other end have to be 20K for one person, or can it be multiple orders filling that 20K? Yes. So the answer is the 20K of liquidity is pooled. So if, you know, the way that it'll work is like you are wanting to make a market, say it's for $10. You can get matched for $10. You can also get matched for $3, subtracting it to leave $7 left of liquidity. Now, with some of these big exchanges, a lot of the advantageous things for sharper bettors or people with bigger bankrolls are to be able to put down bigger amounts up front where like a 20K bet is a good bet for them, then they could put the 20K in a take order. Now that 20K is liquidity in the market, and if you want to just take $5 out of that 20K liquidity, you can. You want to take $1, you can. You want to take 10, you can. You want to take 20, you can. So it does not have to be a like direct one-to-one match of you put 20K, I have to put 20K. You could put the 20K up as a take order or as a make order, and you could take $5 out of it as a make order. So it's not a one size fit all. The liquidity also can be pooled across it's not like, for example, like Novig, they're legal in 35 plus states. It's not just the New York liquidity, it's the liquidity of everybody in the country that's utilizing Novig pools up into building those pools. Hence why the liquidity numbers can be higher than just like one person saying, I have $10 to bet. The most I can put on this market is $10. Somebody can easily snatch that, but it doesn't have to be 10 to 10. It could be 10 to 1 if it wanted to be. So hope that answers the cue there. Can be multiple people, but I mean, I haven't bet any first quarter markets. This Malik Washington's kind of interesting. I'm not going to lie. But there are some guys that I'm interested in targeting here. So let's look at, honestly, even HN in the receiving game. I mean, we know that he's a dog. This is first quarter. I mean, honestly, first quarter at plus 115 at Hard Rock or Fanatics looks good. 5 yards. That's interesting. Not going to lie. HN's A dot, I have it looking up. It's obviously going to be low, but probably even negative almost. Yeah, his A dot is 0.3 yards because we know how much throwing behind the sticks that Tua and co does to get that screen game working. But overall, HN's receiving yards for the game is 24.5. That seems a little bit low for a guy who's going to be getting a ton of touches. Now, I have, again, the FD boost is 25%, if I'm not mistaken. I opted in for the boost for just a straight bet on DK, so not necessarily, doesn't need to be a parlay. We can parlay it, but can just use it on a straight. HN 25 plus receiving yards alt, honestly, is very enticing. Now, I want to check some numbers here quickly. I'm going to pull up FTN again because Pittsburgh, if I'm not mistaken, I think they're actually very good against running backs coming out of the backfield. And again, we do have to be cognizant of the overall. So should you avoid player props and Novig because of syndicate groups? That's a loaded question. The answer is kind of two-part. I wouldn't say you should avoid them because you're still going to be able to find the best price in market. You're still going to be able to, it's still like a legally good platform to utilize. You're still going to be able to get orders filled, and you still are like making bets. And again, if you're betting the best price, that is going to help you win more or lose less in the long run. But I will say that there are times when I'm on stream here, Josh, where like I'm looking through EV and I am seeing something that's EV on Novig close to game time, and I am hesitant to bet that because I am like cognizant that there could be, like you said, like a sharp group that is like putting up that liquidity that I don't necessarily want to go against. So actually, good segue just to pull up. So I mean, in this example right here, Novig, we have liquidity on Pick the Odds, and I know some other tools have liquidity information as well, but didn't have to click that. Now you can see the contracts, you can see the amount of dollars on each side. So if there was a situation where there was like so much money on one side and like nothing on the other side, like kind of like opposing it, then I would definitely be like, all right, there's not enough liquidity, I want to touch it. On the other end, if I already like something and that is the side, like on a different book, and that is the side on Novig where there is the liquidity is opposing it, then I'm like more confident in the EV at another book here. And this update's live. So the order just came in at 108 and we see $728 there. Actually for the over because it's coming in on the under. So that's adding more liquidity to that pool. So actually great question. And I just will say that, at least for me too, it's like I'm still like trying to figure out what the best way to do with this information is as somebody who's just trying to find an edge, help people find edges. And I'm not like out here professionally grinding every single edge that I see. And because of like the people who are on Novig, which is definitely a great mix of pro bettors, also a lot of, recreational bettors as well. There is definitely a bit of, I want to say gamesmanship per se for making sure you're making the right decisions there. But quick tangent, always fun. But HM receiving is interesting to me, but I wanted to pull up DVOA stats here on FTN. I'll switch my screen in a second, but I want to see defense versus running backs out of the backfields here. Because if either one of these teams is poor at that, then this is like a spot where we know how much they love to throw to running backs. And even though that like that's probably priced in, I might even just still be down for it. But look at the running backs out of the backfield, receptions per game. Let's filter it the other way now because I don't see either of them. Okay, looking like we're both middle of the pack here. Yeah, Pittsburgh 16th, 4.2, and Miami, where's am I at? 18th, 4.5. So both these teams are definitely, right there in the middle of the pack for receiving yards or receptions allowed per game, two running backs. Then yards per game, we have Miami at 9 and Pittsburgh at 20 at 29.1 yards. So get some Kenny Gainwell then. See Gainwell's receiving yards. So he's priced just or similar to Achan here with his numbers here. He's at -112 at FanDuel here for the over on 23.5 receiving yards for Kenny G. That kind of checks out based on what we know. And Warren with the injury report. Let me pull up that tweet again quickly on my phone just so I know it's right here. But the inactive. So Roman Wilson out, Will Howard, emergency third quarterback, James Pierce, cornerback out, Andrews Pete, TJ Watt, Derek Harmon, and Broderick Martin Rhodes. So looks like the running back room is still going to be good to go for the Steelers in general. But let's look at Kenny G's at 20. And what's where is he? What's his name? Jalen Warren. What's he at? I want to get also back to stats here. Receiving. So Warren is at 13.5. I know that they have definitely, by they, I mean, of course, the Steelers have definitely begun to rely more on Gainwell in the passing game, but I know that Warren is a very capable back out of the backfield. Let's go back to FTN here. Let's get a pick going. And all season, we're on receiving. Like, what are the total targets looking like? Of course. So Warren 35. Gainwell 58. So it really is Gainwell mostly out of the backfield there. Targets per game as we've gone on. Gainwell 4.5. Warren 2.9 to get 13 yards. If he gets 3 targets, now, of course, it doesn't necessarily convert to catches, as they're basically splitting time in the backfield. So just two guys that have really been sharing work. Pittsburgh, definitely, like Miami's like so different than Pittsburgh. Miami's a funnel. They throw it to Waddle. They throw it to Reek when he was there. They give the ball to Achan. Whereas with Pittsburgh, it's like you got Metcalf, Warren, freaking Gainwell, Calvin Austin, Wilson when he's healthy, Washington, Freiermuth. They got all the boys here. But so back to targets per game. Metcalf leading all, or when Waddle, Achan getting the 5. Warren 2. Because I'm curious how many Washington running back, not Washington, Miami running back is going to be on this list. That's why I qualified. It wasn't clicked. That's why I was like, we're definitely missing players. So we know Malik is around the line of scrimmage. But what are like other running backs like Jalen Wright? Not really getting targeted. They're throwing the ball. It's going to Achan or it's going to Washington in that short yardage role, or Ali Gordon not getting the target. So I actually kind of like the Achan 25 plus. And this is what we're actually going to do here. What I think let's do some alt running back receiving here. Let's do some. And we'll check the prices here. So let's actually start here, but let's Warren at 20 plus. It's plus 158 at FanDuel, which is actually really great. So let's add that leg. Warren to 20 plus receiving yards. Not 20. I mean 25 plus 235, actually. I'm gonna check PTO quickly. FanDuel is 235. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to do a quick search here. My other computer. What it's really been looking like for receiving stuff for Warren, because receiving, he's got a 49-yard, 21, 11, 31. So he's absolutely capable of an output like this. So we'll stick with 20 for now. We have a boost. Achan, definitely think he's worthy of an alternate line here. 25.5 is the base. 30 plus 124, better than Kalshi here on FanDuel. No, FanDuel's a bit sharper, but I like that a lot. Devon Achan, 30 plus. So at 393, I'm going to build it up on my phone as well to be able to lock in this boost. RBs out of the backfield. I love it. So we got 25% profit boost, receiving props. Warren, let's see, where is he? It's fine. Achan 30 plus. Jalen Warren. I know he's coming off that injury though. 20 plus. All right. 393. So let's keep building here. It's actually looks some touchdowns. So see if there's a TD to come in, but I like the method to the madness to start for this touchdown for this parlay. So Circa just moved. If it's not at 42.5 anymore, did it go to 43 is the question I'm trying to answer. It did. So this total has gone up an entire whole point from where it was on Wednesday when Jake and I were speaking about this. I mean, look at the rest of the market. There's definitely some over money coming in. I'm sitting on a bad number at 42.5, but what are you going to do at this point, unfortunately? So yeah, if you have not bet a total yet, I mean, if you could find a 42.5 over now at this point, I think you should maybe get in, but I have a bad number all in the game. When I've had bad numbers on money lines and spreads this year, it hasn't mattered. I know it's small sample size, not saying it isn't a big deal or that I don't want the best number, but on totals this year, my number has been off. I've been gotten cooked. So sides haven't had the repercussions come in, but on totals when I'm off and the market tells me to fuck myself, especially on prime time, I've unfortunately seen those come in and be no bueno for me. But let's see if we can find a FanDuel touchdown that's looking good to market in here. It's going to be priced, I mean, 430 for Darnell Washington, 260 Darren Waller, Achan at 25. I still do like this under, but maybe I'm just, I mean, the market told me no, but either way, I still kind of do like it. Warren is even money here, but 125 at Circa. Now, Waddle to me is definitely interesting because if we boost it, we will get EV here at the 2-1. That'll be better than Circa's 210. Because Steelers backfield really is bad. I mean, secondary. Kenny G not getting priced at Circa. A lot of these guys not getting priced at Circa. Not even Muth. Roman Wilson is not playing. It's not to have options there from an overall anytime TD. So it doesn't have to be. But let's look at pass props, passing yards, because I'm curious if we're getting any value on Tua with like the overall like hypothesis that he's not good in the snow. Well, it's not snowing, but in the cold. If we're running at passing yards, plus 152, it's not good to market. But what if we did like a 360, same as Circa 325 at Caesars is pretty good. I have curiosity for Tua to throw one touchdown pass. I just want to see what this brings our lay to. Let's see, Tua Tagovailoa, passing TDs, alt 1 plus 508, 635. You know, we're going for 10-1. The fiend in me there. But that's interesting. But a Rodgers under is also interesting to me at 1.5. I know they've been struggling to get a ton of things down the field passing. But I mean, Rodgers this year, some of his base numbers, overall red zone, he is throwing 13 touchdowns in the red zone, 25 attempts in the red zone over the course of 12 games. It's not really a high total. We wanted to run into Warren. It was actually run some in himself. Overall efficiency this year, total passing tutties, 20 on the year in 12 games. So just worth noting here. Touchdown percentage, 5.8%, better than Tua's. So it's interesting to look at. And let's look at passing yards. Because I think if this game does make sense for Miami or does have them like come out to a big one, then I think they do need to run the football and establish that, which they've been doing an amazing job of. Tua's at 200 yards. Rodgers, let's see. Interesting. 195.5 for Tua. All right, so maybe there isn't anything to be done there. But let's look at another market. Most receiving yards. Love looking at these markets. Thielen at 15-1, no shot. Calvin Austin, Darren Waller's been getting some love. DK looking like the chalk here at 230. Waddle 170 at Caesars is interesting. Kenny G, Malik Washington, Freiermuth. So would have to be like a deep down the board kind of situation. Don't know if this game is one that calls for that. But most rushing yards, Achan, of course, going to be the chalk here if I had to imagine. Achan, yep, minus 240. Warren 270, 310. I mean, the Steelers running game has been abysmal. We know this. See if anything popped up on the EV screen to make our lives easier for this final leg. This Jalen Wright showing. Um, Thielen over receptions now. Metcalf, Waller over 2.5 catches, plus 103. FanDuel at 108 at Novig. Warren, Metcalf over, HN attempts, Waddle both sides there. Thielen receptions over 2.5. I mean, I know they brought in the kid or the savvy vet, but I do find it hard to believe that he just comes onto the scene here. All right, so nothing at FanDuel, but doesn't mean we can't find something that is like close enough that will be EV by the time we do it. And I think this Thielen over 1.5 receptions. No. What was I looking for? Muth over 1.5 receptions. FanDuel's at 160, 140 here. Okay, circa not even pricing, only 2% pre any boost there. That Thielen over again. Waddle over 5.5. Let's see what the market's looking like. 148. I mean, that's not terrible. Won't be like that high of EV though, unfortunately. That Kenny G under 3.5 here. Oh, where'd it go? Under 3.5. 111 at Bookmaker. 106 at FanDuel. Now, I mean, we have the Warren over on the alternate, and we could maybe fade. I feel like it's going to be correlated though, and the price is probably going to be bad here. So if we do Kenny G under 3.5 receptions, that brings to 860. So I feel like the correlation isn't being priced in that big at that point, right? If we have over alternate for Warren have 20 plus receiving yards, but then Gainwell under 3.5 catches, that's plus 1075. I'm locking that in. It's going to be my FanDuel 3-legger. So HN 30 plus receiving yards, Warren 20 plus receiving yards, and Kenny G under 3.5 catches. So I know that, Warren was on an injury report. He's playing. Gainwell has been their highest target guy out of the backfield, but I'm thinking it's Warren today. So there we go. Very nice. We have a DraftKings boost as well. We got some first touchdowns to bet. And unless something pops up on the EV screen that is, calling our name with some good EV, going to be a pass probably. I mean, the Thielen at 130 is good from the uncertainty. But with that being said, I hope that this is good because maybe they'll take some opportunities away from Kenny G at this point. But let's look at some first touchdowns. Hit another one yesterday with Amon-Ra, unsurprisingly at this point. First TDs. Getting odds from Circa, we are. Okay. Rogers, no thank you. Thielen, I mean, if Circa wasn't the best price, I'd maybe have to dabble, but at this point, no way. Same with Calvin Austin. The Eskridge, no thank you. DK 950, I mean, Circa best price. Waddle 10-1, same thing. Kenny G 950 at FanDuel, I mean, kind of goes against what we had. So we're not seeing any of our preferred method of betting first tutties with utilizing our devigging from FanDuel bookmaker, Circa Opinion bookmaker, and seeing what other recreational book has like an off market price. But a first touchdown for a while, this 1050 at Rivers is looking interesting. I mean, WR1 at 1050. If you guys are familiar with the channel, you know that's getting 10-1 on a WR1 or an RB1. We're always pulling trigger on that realistically. But assuming there's nothing looking that good now, the DK boost would absolutely utilize it on a first touchdown and just kind of go from there. So now it's kind of more of who is worth it at this point from an odds perspective. Darnell's looking like a good option here at 20-1. So with the boost, it'll be higher. Waller's at 11-1. I mean, Waller definitely gets a lot of good love in the passing game. I mean, he's been somehow really great, even with another injury since coming back. HN 450. Metcalf is, even though we'll get a value with the boost, probably too low here. But let's pull up DK and just see. Now I'll pull it up on my phone and we can take a look at what the odds are looking at. Or what the odds with the boost are looking like, I should say. DraftKings. So the boost is a 20% all-purpose boost. So we can, kind of do the math ourselves either way. But I do want to take a look. Oh, just got a profit boost just right now for a first touchdown. 50% flash boost on Monday Night Football first TD. I mean, okay, that's now we can honestly use both boosts on FTDs, or we can do leave that other boost for something else. But now we got to take a deeper dive at this board. Yeah, I was gonna say it did not go to 9,000. That would have been crazy. But now, okay, this kind of definitely changes some things a bit because we might see some value on some 8chan now. Waller would definitely be pretty good value. Darnell would be great value. Calvin Austin would be as well. Let's do possible lineage kind of. Rogers amount. Thielen we're not getting good enough value on. In gold, we would get value. Skoranek, no. Calvin Austin is a possibility. Cedric Wilson, no. Connor Hayward, technically yes. Darnell Washington, yes. Waller, yes. Eskridge, no. HN, maybe. DK would actually be good here at this point. Let's take a look at what those odds become now. But the 50% boost, flash boost. Shout out to DK, I guess. I hope you guys are getting this boost. That's 12 to 1 to 950 at Circa. So that's actually going to be like a pretty good bet. That's probably worth utilizing there. Waddle at 850. Pull up Waddle. That's at 1275. Okay, so that's definitely interesting here. There's no way this is 9 to 1 on Jonnu, because if so, then this is 19 to 1 on Jonnu. Hold their horses here. Yeah. Did this just move? 11 to 1, 9 to 1, but this is 19 to 1. I'm honestly going to just quickly use the Monday night profit boost to get that to 2280. Best in market for Jonnu. So I'm not going to use the 50% is going to be a 2850. I'm going to save that. I'm actually going to use this profit boost on Jonnu Smith. The Monday night 20% boost, if you opt into that one, I use that one on Jonnu. And then we're going to use the 50% boost to somebody else. But Jonnu Smith, just like that, that's unless something's bugged there. I'm actually going to double check another screen just because that seems so off. Probably should have done that before I locked the bet in, but you know, what are you going to do? Real quick, let me just check this out. Let me check this out quick. Yeah, no, it's 9 to 1 at Circa. It's 1680 at Bookmaker, which isn't showing up, but it's still 9 to 1 out here. DraftKings at 9 to 1. FanDuel just dropped. So 2280 using that one boost on Jonnu. I'm in. I'm in. But now at 50%er, so we stick to a fin right now, on that. But yeah, that Jonnu is good. I'm glad we just snagged that. If you don't have that boost, bet it at FanDuel. That's the best price. Actually, let me confirm that because there's other books there. If you have Hard Rock, no big liquidity going down. ESPN or FanDuel at the 20 to 1. But Hard Rock looking like the best price all in all. This was went to 8 to 1. This dropped to 6 to 1. Oh no, that's Warren. I was looking for Waddle, but this to drop as we were speaking there. Oh, went up the other way. Okay, interesting. So Achan with the boost at 450. I mean, 50% boost. Couldn't make betting on a guy like Achan worth it, honestly. 675. So not like, I mean, it is pretty great to market. I'm not gonna lie. That is like very good to market. So that would definitely be like a bet worth making. 675 for an RB1 is like normally like the lowest I would go if it's a situation where I think it's good. Bookmaker also just dropped on that Jonnu. So yeah, I'm gonna go with what's Greg Deluche? I actually might lock in Dulcich. I'm not gonna lie with the 50% boost, a little tight end action here. I know he's backing up now with Waller back. But let's do some data diving. We got some time here because we have limited boosts and the EVs already out. We had a killer like 8-unit day or week, I should say. So, like a 6 unit day yesterday. So, not like dying to get as many bets in as possible right now for game time. But let's do a dive here. I want to look at Pittsburgh and I want to see, I mean, Miami, excuse me, and like when Waller's been playing, like what it's kind of looked like. So let me see what weeks Waller was in. He played weeks. It doesn't tell me what weeks. Show me the date. I need weeks. Okay, so it's been a minute for Waller here. Played 7. So last week, what was that? Red bye against the Jets. So week 14. Let's go to receiving here. So Deluch here without Waller, Dolchich, Deluch. Okay, now let's see with together here. And honestly, we could pull up a let's get outlier going because I think that'll make it easier to figure out the weeks, the differences here. We could see which what the exact data looks like for with Waller, with and without. So let's actually just use outlier quickly. I think that'll make this easier so we know. Oh, Dolchich, Deluch, however you pronounce it. See rec yards quickly, games with player, Waller. So when Waller is in, we are seeing still 2 big games. Overall targets, though, 2.5 targets, 3 targets to reception. So he's caught every target in the games that Waller's been active in. Pitcher against tight ends, not really too great. Overall passing, not too great. Waller has played as 18 targets. Deluch as well, 18 targets. So very interesting. Is there any more supporting data here? Is there overall share? So again, 3 and 2. Big play down the field. Air yards are up. So, okay. Now let's look at Waller individually here. Darren Waller. Let's see. Rec yards. Again, we'll do games with 2025. Games with player. Greg. Big game against the Saints, and then a basically nothing burger against the Jets. But overall, that was a 3 targets, 3 targets. So it's not like he's dominating that share, and his average yards per reception though are a lot higher. So he is getting open down the field there. Air yards are high, doing a lot after the catch, which is big for him. Let's see red zone overall. Waller's getting love, but I think at 42-1, I like Dolchich. So let's go back to PTO here and see if anything's been moving here. I mean, it's already EV to start with Profit X, though, just dropped. That locked. 33-1 at DK, but this is 42-1. I'm going to lock this in. Have you ever thought about creating a model? So many times. I've been betting at this point for like, I would say close to 10 years, but I've been betting like with having understanding of markets and the way things go for, I would say, 6 years. For those first 5 years, I feel like all I wanted to do was make a model. I have all these different data sources. It seems like having a source of truth is great. And it's a buzzword at this point. Everyone's talking about their model this, their model that. So yes, I've thought about it. However, to me, at this point, there's just 2 ways to go about betting. You're a top-down bettor, which is doing what I'm doing right now, what I do in all my streams, and what I decide to do. You look at the market, you trust the market, you use tools like Pick the Odds, Outlier, Prop Professor, whatever you want it to be, that has custom EV weighting. You create your custom EV weights and you use the market as a source of truth. Or you can bottom up bet, which is originate your own numbers, build a model, and based on the model's results, you bet. You care less about CLV, you care less about line movement. You have your numbers, you believe that your numbers are better than the market's, and you bet your opinions. And if you're good enough, the market will move based on the bets that you make from your model. There's 2 different ways to do it. So if you're a top-down bettor like I am, you're going to be on your apps or your tools all the time. You're going to be looking for the best prices all the time, and you're going to try to capitalize. And there's going to be split seconds you have to make these betting decisions. If you have a model and it's serious and it's good, you're spending all of your time adding new pieces of code, adding new pieces of data, back testing it, and optimizing it, automating things, et cetera, et cetera. So it really comes down to your skill set. I'm not going to sit here and say, like, don't build a model if you already have a data science background and you have access to good data like FTN where you can export it, add it in, and that's your forte. But for me, and for, I would say, like, the common folk, for lack of a better word, there's no point in building a model. Like, there really is no point. The market is a source of truth. Now, you can get to a point where you've burned all your accounts and maybe you're not in a state where you can bet on Novig, but of course you can still trade on like Kalshi or whatever. And you are trying to get down, you're gonna have to get some PPHs and like kind of play around with that. Like, don't get me wrong. But I honestly genuinely believe that there's no point in having a model unless you can upkeep it, unless you are pricing in things that are not being priced in by people with models and by sportsbook models, which is going to be a difficult task in itself. The general maintenance of the model of all time. So, sorry for the long-winded answer there. Short answer, yes, I've thought about it. Second answer, not for me. Not for me. I'd rather utilize the market and people that are already doing that work and, in a sense, kind of copying it, right? Not in like a fucked up way, in a way that my model is believing that the models of these books here that I'm devigging from, or also exchanges of Penny, Novig, Sport Trade, FanDuel, Pinnacle, Circa, Bookmaker, Prime Sports, so on and so forth, have all that information that would be in my ideal model and in other bettors' ideal model already priced in, and those are my sources of truth. So that's my thoughts and feelings on the model. Absolutely. But again, never dissuading somebody who has the skill set or the desire to get after it. It's just a different grind of betting. It's an entirely different game. And I can't necessarily even speak to it because I haven't done it. I've made some shitty models, watch it a couple of days, and then I'm just like, well, I could also have custom DVig formulas on tools that are telling me where the best prices in the market are based on the rest of the market and calculate for me the multiplicative, additive, probit DVigs, the expected ROI. I didn't do a good job this year of like actually calculating what I need to bet on these tools, but you can do that with the tools, with certain tools, not every tool, of course. But yeah, Waller receptions here, still hanging out. Good liquidity on both sides though. Circa taking 2.3K, just normal, 1K on Penny. That makes sense. Seems like it would be a big hassle. I know like 8 Train Station and Edge Zone uses models. 8 Train I need to dive into. I spoke to the guys at 8 Train, or the guy at 8 Train, a little bit ago in some other context. And what he was breaking down to me looked really cool. I just haven't played around with 8 Train yet, and I'm very curious, and I know that they're onto something. Edge Zone I'm not familiar with. And so I'm honestly going to write them down because I would love to be familiar with them. So I should get that in my notes really quickly. And remind myself about 8 Train. Honestly, it's been a while since I spoke with them. 8 Train, Edge. But don't get me wrong, models are definitely like the move for what you can do. Like, there are other tools like Rhythm, for example. You can create your own model based on predetermined stats within Rhythm. Pine Sports, you can create a model. They have all these different data sets. You incorporate, the pre-built data sets you want. I think there's like 30 on Pine Sports you can include. Then from there, it back tests it and it spits out for you what the model has done. And then it gives you, based on the upcoming week in the NFL, what bets fit the back test of the model that are worth betting. So models are definitely like essential to like the ecosystem. But like, does Eric need a model? The answer to that question right now to me is no. Could a model supplement and make Eric's betting better? Undeniably. But it's kind of like like anything in life, like football, like you got your quarterback is great at throwing the ball, you got a receiver great at catching the ball. Together they're better. Of course, having something to assist you would be better, but I need somebody, personally, I would need somebody who's better at those, or a tool that could help me do that, because I'm not firing up Python, downloading data sets and automating a model. It's not on my bingo card for 2026 or 2027, but I guess you never know how things can change and shake up. But I'm not sitting here saying models are like BS or anything like that. I just want that to be clear. That's absolutely not true. I think when you have somebody on Twitter who tweets, my model says this game should be -7 when the spread is -3, then yeah, that person is making up a model or their model is disgustingly terrible. But there is different ways to skin the cat, and it is coming down to like skill set because again, if you have a model, if you had a model and you had picked the odds, right? Let's just go back to money lines for this. You would run your numbers of your confidence. You would think that this Dolphins Steelers should be plus 120, for example. You would obviously look for the best price because price shopping is, universal. You always want to make the most or lose the least if you do bet. But you're saying, oh, my model says plus 120. Novig has plus 169. Bet, move on. Oh, my model says it should be Rams should be minus 130. This is minus 109. Bet, move along. Which I'm sure is like a great way to go about it too. And of course, like that's a very simplistic example of what that looks like. And of course, when you're modeling out player props, for example, there's tons of markets, tons of things like that. But it's different where for me, it's like, okay, I'm looking for what is the most expected value based on the books that I believe to be the sharpest and showing me the best odds. All right, so we got like everything that I wanted to bet in. Still, we'll kick it with the boys though for a little bit, answer any questions, and like again, see if anything pops up. But right now, I'm on the under, and now we have Dulcich first touchdown with the boost. We have John first touchdown with the boost, and the FanDuel boost, HN 30 plus, Warren 20 plus receiving yards each, and Gainwell under 3.5 receptions. But from an EV perspective, I mean, let me check another screen quickly because EV is not a one size fit all proposition. Different DVIG methods and different sources of truth lead to different DVIG calculations, which is also something that if you're a top down bettor, you need to like figure out. I mean, I'm glad to share the sauce because that's part of what I'm trying to do is educate people to make better betting decisions and find ways to get edges. Whereas like, if somebody is relying on betting for their monthly income, then they're obviously not going to be so gracious for sharing the secret sauce because that means it's more likely to get patched, as in eventually it will get fixed. Then they got to go find another one. So let's look at some markets here. There's one more. I could build another parlay for the shits of it. I mean, just from a straight betting perspective, it's just nothing that has been showing up overall with like more than 2% EV. But let's look at Malik Washington again. We looked at just his first touchdown. Let's look at his overall receiving yards. Malik Washington. So right now, Circa's at 26. FanDuel's at 23. MGM's at 21.5, but it's minus 118. Now, MGM, their SGP pricing is just so bad. Like, they're just going to screw you and pinch you for every penny that they possibly can, but then limit you on the way out regardless. But let's see if we can even build something worth it. So that BTJ hit yesterday, by the way, over 3.5 receptions. Beautiful. Didn't populate. So players, receiving yards. Where are we looking? Receiving yards. So Malik Washington, 21.5 minus 118. Okay. And I know we have Kenny G under receptions, but it doesn't mean he can't be like a factor. If you go to like rushing, what's his rush plus rec? See if we can even SGP these. I'm just curious now at this point. Players, I'm not even seeing combos here. Rushing and receiving. There we go. It says SGP next to it. Over under SGP. Game of 54.5. This is plus 200 here. So the Washington is interesting to me because that is just off market to Circa. Let's go back here. Let's look at scrimmage yards. Ooh. Kenny G. Scrimmage yards here. See FanDuel, DK, Novig at 113. ESPN as high as 115. Bookmaker at 114. Then we got MGM here at 54.5, being the best odds in market for Kenny G here. 2-1 on an SGP there. On a little bit over. Now, that's something I think I could possibly, like, get behind. Let's go back to touchdowns and see if we could find, like, at any time that's worth it. But if not, then we're good to go with what we have so far. I mean, we're not forcing anything. It's right before game time. See if the total has moved back, if there's any resistance there. 43.5 it got up to now at Penny and Bookmaker. See if Circa's still sitting 43 or if they went back down. I mean, I doubt it. Nah, 43 for this total. So gonna be a sweat for your boy here. And if you tailed, sorry, all in the game. Got a bad number. Happens to the best of us. Player prop. See if how any of these markets have changed. Calvin Austin, 28-1. It's still Darnell. Looks like it dropped at DK. DK still sitting there. Dolchich. Did this move? Or were we at 28-1? No, we were at 28-1. Waddle 9-1. John is still 9-1. I mean, I'm so surprised that they're willing to be so far off to Circa on these, honestly. Caleb Johnson, Kenny G. All right, let's go to anytime. A little defensive anytime. I mean, I actually am curious what the defense for Pittsburgh could be in this one. HN now 115 best price Circa. I mean, we're getting a bit better on DK for DK on DK than Circa. Waddle though, a bit better at FD. So they're not pricing Jono. Anytime for Jono being 480, but Circa having 900. Something there is honestly confusing the shit out of me. Steelers D 550, Dolphins D 6-1. Neither seems honestly like too good, not gonna lie. Unfortunately. All right, boys. Honestly, I think I'm gonna wrap up. Like, we have our bets in. I don't expect anything to happen in the next 8 minutes from an EV standpoint. Inactives obviously have been locked and loaded. And we'll take a quick peek here. I mean, this Jalen Wright's been sitting there. I don't really buy it. HN rush attempts. Waller's still sitting there. Waddle's reception under only 1.9% anyway. So we're low on the EV train, boys. So if you're watching on YouTube, if you hit that like button, that'd be greatly appreciated. Have a lot of great video content coming out, a lot of streams, of course. So it really helps the channel grow. Thank you guys all for tuning in. I'll see you guys on Wednesday with the bet show, but best of luck with the bets tonight. Let's hopefully we hit a banger on some of these boosts for first touchdown, and I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Have a good one, boys.